let's look at how Jason Kelce, center for the Philadelphia Eagles from 2011 to 2024, gave us a masterclass in leadership. As Jason recalled the championship parade following the 2018 Super Bowl victory, he emphasized the fans and people of the city, how the win was not really for the team, but for the fans and the city. In leadership terms, we say this is the principle of selflessness. Let's watch how Jason described that scene.
I won't forget the parade and what it meant to the city of Philadelphia, the joy it brought our community, and the closure it gave to so many. The stories from fans that had been waiting generations for that moment fulfilled that triumph to another level. On the route, I remember meeting a woman with ashes of a dead relative whom she had promised wouldn't miss the parade if the Eagles had ever won it.
At another point, Kelce recalls the critical role that offensive line coach Jeff Stoutland played in Kelce's career. Specifically, Jason explains probably the lowest point in his career and how Jeff lifted him up, worked him hard, and gave him belief that drove results.
I saw firsthand the wrath of the Eagles fans in the 2016 Eagles season. And rightfully so, I had an awful start to that season where I was often overpowered, had many holding penalties that cost our team, and looked like one of the worst centers in the league. There's only one person in this building who still wanted me, and it's he who I have to thank most for the career I've had. And that's Jeff Stoutland. No one has been more influential or meaningful to my success on the field in my career than Stout. I think one of the greatest things a human being can give another is belief. This world, life, it can be hard. It can challenge yourself to points of self-doubt, and that is a dangerous place to be. Well, I am lucky. My whole life, I have been surrounded by people that have believed in me. My father, my mother, my brother, Paul Longo, Howard Mudd, and in my darkest hour as a Philadelphian, Stout was the one who believed in me. He was adamant my problems could be fixed with proper technique, fundamentals, and work. And work we did. Without him, I doubt any of this would have been possible, or that I'd still be here. Since that offseason, I have amassed 6 All-Pros, 5 Pro Bowls, and am recognized by some as one of the best centers to ever play the game. I am very proud knowing where I once was and the legacy I have left behind, and the man we can all thank is Jeff Stoutland. Second Stout quote of the evening: "No man is an island. We must draw our strengths from others."
Jason was a walk-on at the University of Cincinnati. He didn't have a scholarship and wasn't recruited. As he describes, this required persistent, grueling work. In leadership terms, we refer to this as the principle of resolve.
It became apparent immediately that walk-ons would have to fight harder for their opportunities than the rest of the team. I had no stars, no investment from the team or the coaches. I'd have to earn everything, and that's good because I had no clue what hard work was yet. Knowing that I had to earn my respect every day made me committed like never before. In my first college weightlifting session, graduate assistant Jordan Roth put me through the hardest weightlifting session I had ever been through. They pushed me into areas of fatigue I didn't know I had, and for that experience, I am forever grateful to all of them.
Continuing with the principle of resolve, Jason also gives this great example of where great leaders take people not necessarily where they want to go or where they think they want to go, but where they need to be.
But because he brought with him strength coach Paul Longo. 2 weeks into winter workouts, Paul whispered to me in the middle of warm-ups, "You'd make a great center." I shrugged it off. Offensive line, never in a million years did I think I'd play that position. Paul moved me to offensive line that spring, and it ended up being the single greatest move that ever happened to me as a football player.
At one point in his speech, Jason tries to explain why he was drawn to the game of football. In leadership circles, what he describes is a calling. In servant leadership terminology, this is an attribute of the principle of virtuousness. Hear what a calling sounds like from someone who truly found their purpose.
I've been asked many times, why did I choose football? What drew me to the game? And I never have an answer that gets it right. The best way I can explain it is what draws you to your favorite song, your favorite book. It's what it makes you feel. The seriousness of it, the intensity of it. I loved everything about it. Although I hadn't met him yet, Jeff Stoutland often shares a quote his father would tell him. More often than not, the easy way is the wrong way. Football was hard. I loved the challenge that football was. The joy of winning, the agony of defeat, the anxiety of the unknown, and the camaraderie of my teammates.
Leaders who find success are often tempted to change who they are and how they act. Jason Kelce reached the pinnacle of the NFL as a player, and he will go down as among the best to ever play the game. Yet, as this clip reveals, he never pretends to be somebody or something he is not, and his fans love him for it.
I won't forget Nick Foles having the game of his life on the biggest stage possible. And the biggest dick on the team going up to Doug Peterson and asking for the Philly special. And Doug Peterson having the biggest balls in the stadium to say, yeah, let's do it.
In this next clip, Kelce explains why the NFL is like no other place on earth, and yet at the same time reflects the incredible diversity of America. In leadership principles, we refer to this as nonpartisanship and the attribute of diversity.
The NFL is truly like no other place, and at the same time represents America as a whole like no other. Fat offensive linemen from Cleveland play on the same field as skinny wide receivers from Louisiana and kickers from Chicago. Tight ends from Stanford play next to tackles from Kilgore Community College. Defensive ends from inner city Detroit play next to defensive tackles from Yazoo City, Mississippi. 6'9" Jordan Mailata plays the same sport as 4'8" Darren Sproles. The melting pot of geographic location, economic background, race, body type, personality, and athletic traits of an NFL locker room is truly remarkable. And we all rely on each other and respect one another and each of our differences because we know we're stronger together.
Again, reflecting on the role that strength trainer Paul Longo had on him, Kelce tells how the man focused on working smarter, not harder. He also shares a story that reflects great leadership, building leaders from the front while they focus on those struggling in the rear.
Paul was different. As opposed to working guys into the ground, his motto was work smarter, not harder. His main goal was to improve us as athletes and make us stronger, faster, more explosive. He didn't care about anything else. Once during a conditioning drill, I saw a teammate struggling to keep up during a run, so I slowed down to encourage him. And he yelled at me. He said, "You run this exercise the best you can. Lead from the front. It's my job to take care of the back.
If you subscribe to this channel or have been following along closely, you know the principles highlighted define servant leadership, specifically selflessness, empathy, resolve, virtuousness, authenticity, nonpartisanship, and thoroughness. In his speech, Jason Kelce demonstrated and highlighted each of these principles. At one point, though, he shines a light on one man who exemplified them all, Eagles owner Jeffrey Lurie.
I'd like to thank Jeffrey Lurie for his dedication to building an organization that values its employees as people and gives them the resources necessary to thrive. I've only had one boss, so I don't know much to compare to. But Jeffrey always made it a point to show his appreciation and love for his players on and, more importantly, off the field.
As an Eagles fan, I've always loved and appreciated our star center, Jason Kelce. As a leadership development professional, I'm thrilled to see him so succinctly demonstrate and exemplify what it means to be a great servant leader. Thank you for everything, Jason. If you choose to remain in the public eye, I cannot wait to see what you do next. Whatever you do, though, keep serving, brother.